Hello everybody, it's Tamara Bennett from Southern Adornments Decor. We're going to be painting this little cup of hot cocoa. It says warm wishes and it's in like a little blue tin mug that has speckles all over it. I don't know why I'm trying to explain it to you. I've got a picture right here I can show you. So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to paint it like this so you can see we're going to do a little bit of splatter paint on the bottom part of the mug. We'll do a little bit of shading also up on the whipped cream. So that's what we're fixing to do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start doing my base coat of my blue on this little mug. I'm just wetting my brush and then I'm picking up the blue. The blue is called True Blue. It's a Deco Art Americana paint and I have dropped 1 drop of black in with the blue to make it just a tad darker because I wanted it to be just a little bit darker, not quite navy, but just a hair darker. So the next color we're going to use is called Gray Sky. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush though, a smaller flat tip brush like this. And then we're just going to paint the little rim of our cup because this is like a little metal, like, don't they call them like a camp cup? Something like that. A camp mug, but we're just going to paint that gray, this little rim right here. I'm not even painting inside the lines, y'all. I'm just following the line on the bottom part of or right above the blue, but I'm not worrying about getting over the edge there because I'm going to paint that brown. So you don't even have to paint inside the lines when you paint with me. These little lines on the door hanger do make it quite a bit easier though. Like you're not having to draw anything. Because I can remember back when I started painting for the first time, like painting on door hangers, there were no door hanger templates. That was not a thing. And so I had to hand draw everything that I painted. Okay, let's get a brown. This is called Dark Chocolate. And this is going to be the actual hot cocoa in our cup. So there's another little sort of ring that goes right along here. And we're just going to paint that with the dark chocolate color. I'm not even bothering with staying inside that top line because this part hasn't been painted yet. And we're going to paint that with whipped cream. Okay, the only reason I'm drying this right now, because I haven't dried anything else we've been painting yet. The only reason I'm drying this is because I want to be able to paint my whipped topping. Actually, you know what? I should have had a little bit more forethought. And we shouldn't have started painting all this yet because we needed to do the speckle on our little camp mug first. Otherwise, we're gonna speckle on everything. So we're gonna do the speckle before we move on because I'm probably gonna have to do like a touch-up coat or something on this to cover up my splatter paint mess. Before we do the speckle though, let me do one more quick coat of blue. And I think I wanna add just a little bit of shading with a darker blue sort of around the edges of the mug. I'm just added some more blue here and I added 1 drop of black to it so it'd be a little darker. And I'm trying to work quickly because in order to do the shading, I need the blue paint to still be wet. And the blue might have looked okay to you guys, but in person it was kind of thin looking. I could still kind of see the wood underneath. So it definitely needed another coat. So now while my brush has still got the blue on it and it's still damp, I'm picking up just a teensy bit of black on the top corner of my brush and I'm gonna drag that down the side of the cup. See, it's kind of harsh, right? But while it's still there, we're just gonna carefully just keep going over it and kind of spreading it out. I'm also bringing it down along the bottom of the cup and we're shading it in. And if it feels like it's dragging and it's not dragging as well as you want it to, just get a little water on your brush and keep pulling that paint down along the side of your cup. And it kind of thins it out just a little. Let's see, let's do a little bit over here on this side as well, next to this handle. So we're just using black on a damp blue background with a wet brush. And the brush is not soaking wet, it's just a little wet. Such an easy way to add just a little shading. Look at that. So you see the shading along the edges? So I've got some frog tape here. I'm just gonna pull off a little piece and I'll just cover, see how it's curved at the bottom, so it's kind of hard to fill that in. Maybe if I do a slightly smaller piece. It's hard because I feel like I have to trim it on the edges to make it curve up. It's mostly covered. There's just one little sliver of gray that's not. So we're just gonna go with that and I will just touch it up if I get crazy and start splattering. All right, so I'm taking a little bit of water and I'm adding it to my white paint to water it down because it will splatter better if it's watered down. And I think I'm even gonna put just a teensy bit, actually I'm not even gonna drip some in there. I'm gonna put a teensy bit of blue in there. Just picking it up on the end of my brush and I'm just gonna swirl it around in there until it starts to turn blue enough because I don't want it to be white. If you look at our picture of our example, our splatters are more like a light blue. They're not stark white. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. That looks about right there. So it's not white, it's more of like a cloudy blue. And we're just gonna use a little toothbrush not my current toothbrush. And we're just gonna pick up that paint on the toothbrush. And this is where the fun part comes in. So we're just gonna kind of speckle. I'm gonna do it more in a downward motion. Let's see if I can do this. Ooh, yeah. So I'm just using one hand to hold the brush and the other one to, I didn't want it to look directional. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want it to look like it was spraying forward. I wanted it to come straight down. So that's one way of doing it. Another way is to pick up some paint on the brush and to just kind of get I'm gonna get as much as I can off of it because I don't want big droplets, but I'm just gonna kind of, well, that's a little bigger than I planned on. Let it just kind of drip and speckle. I like the way that looks. And the longer I do it, the smaller the droplets get. So I kind of like the smaller droplets too. Look how cute though. The little splatter paint. I think it turned out good. There's a couple of really big splatters, but it's gonna be all right. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna flip it upside down and just paint our whipped topping while the rest of that dries because that's gonna take a few minutes. So let me get a smaller brush. This is a flat tip brush. These brushes you can actually purchase on the Deco Art website. They have blue handles. This one is a size 12. And so they come in different packs, but I think their brushes right now I don't know if the sale's still going on, but the last time I looked, they were 30% off, which is a great deal. So we're just gonna start with some white and lay down a base coat of the white. And I ran out of holes in my egg carton, so I just put this directly on the door hanger instead. We're just gonna fill in all this area with white. And then we'll do a second coat of white, and on the second coat, we'll add a little bit of shading. All right, we got our first coat of white down, so I'm gonna dry. Okay, let's, I'm gonna add one more. This is like a third coat of white, but I just pretty much am adding this white because I need it to be just a little thicker, and I want it to be nice and wet when I add the tan color that we're gonna shade in for the whipped topping. And it kind of, the first two coats I put on were kind of thin, so we'll just thicken it out just a little more. Okay, so now we're using the color called Toffee, which is a fun little tan color. And we're just gonna get that on our brush while we still have the white on there. And we're just adding it on here, but we're making it like blending it out by doing more than one stroke. So I'm just going over the same spot over and over again till it starts to blend with that white. Get a little more. We're gonna do it on this little area here. Just keep going over it till it blends. So I'm kind of letting it kind of streak and blend out. I'm bringing it around these little creases here. And then as it goes toward the middle, I'm trying to let it blend back into white just a little bit more. So this is what it looks like. Look how good that does. So cool. Really kind of gives it more personality, doesn't it? Okay, I think these speckles are nearly dry. There's only a couple of big speckles that are still kind of wet. And we're just gonna take a round tip brush and start painting in our lettering. And I think I'm gonna just put a little white right next to my toffee here in my egg carton. And so I'm using a round tip brush. This one is a number 3 size. Do you see how pointed and small it is? It doesn't have a whole lot of bristles. We're just gonna start with some white. And I may actually also shade in just a little bit of the tan. Do you see how the letters go from white to tan at the bottom? So I may try to do that. It's much easier to do something like that when you're designing in Procreate than it is to make it actually happen in like on wood when you're painting. So we'll see if I can make it happen. So as I come down here to the bottom of the letter, maybe instead of picking up more white, this time I just pick up a little bit of that toffee and start doing that color toward the bottom of the letter. And then of course I still have the white on my brush, so it's kind of blending both colors here. And if you're wondering, I am not having to freehand this lettering. I am simply painting inside the lines that are already laser etched on the wood. I am just painting inside the lines. So we painted over these letters with the blue paint, and now we're just going back and painting them white with a little bit of toffee. You have to use a really light touch when you're doing this lettering because this lettering is so thin and delicate. It's more scripty. So as I'm doing these really thin strokes, I have to make sure and not let all the bristles like push down on the wood. I have to just let them slightly, very lightly glide across the wood. And then when I'm doing a downstroke that, you know, is wider, I'm applying more pressure. I decided to just go ahead and paint the letters all white first because that seems to be easier than going back and forth between colors. So now that I've got one coat on that, I'm gonna, as I'm doing my second coat, then I'll shade in a little bit of that toffee color. It's definitely a challenge to get 2 colors in lettering, so But I like to challenge myself. I mean, even though I've been painting for like 7 years now, it's fun to see what else I can do and what I can create, what new things I can learn to do. So as long as you continue to do that and push yourself, you'll always grow in your skills and get better and better. So here's what it looks like so far. You can barely see that it goes from white down to tan at the bottom. It's very subtle for sure. So now let's do the word wishes. Okay, I think I got it. Let me show you guys what it looks like. Ooh, almost dropped it. How pretty. Okay, so on our design here, can you see there's some little details? So we're gonna take a brown paint pen because I have this pack of 15 Posca paint pens. If you don't know what Posca is, there's the brand name. These are on Amazon. They're also linked in my Amazon favorites if you want to go grab that link in my profile. And we're just gonna, let me test it out by dabbing it on a piece of paper first. You kind of always want to do that, especially if you haven't used your paint pen in a while. Make sure the paint is flowing well. And I'm just gonna kind of add some little swirly designs in our hot cocoa. And we're just kind of making them kind of go around like that. Look how cute. And then next we're gonna take our white paint pen and you're just gonna take this and add just a little bit of detail lines to the edge of your cup. Try to be kind of free with it, like you feel like you're doodling a little bit, because that makes it more fun and it makes the overall effect look more effortless, like artistic, I feel like. Because if you're trying too hard to get those lines just right, well, you can almost just tell that you just tried way too hard to get it perfect. I added a little bit around the silver rim of the cup as well to kind of make it look shiny. And then I think that's done. On the picture, there's a drop shadow, but I don't have time to do a drop shadow today, so we're just gonna stop there. And I think it actually looks pretty good. So here's our side by side. You can get these designs as the printable template, but if you're not handy at cutting out using tools or anything, just go buy the wooden blanks from us in our shop. They come with the design laser etched on them. Makes it super easy. Like I did, I just painted right over those words and then added the words later. So I hope you guys enjoyed this today. Go grab some Deco Art paint if you don't have any paint. There is a coupon code up in the video description. All caps Southern20. Use my Deco Art affiliate link to do some shopping. Go grab you some stencils at 70% off. Brushes are 30% off. And then of course, the Americana paints are what I use, so I highly recommend these. All right, y'all have a great afternoon. I'll see you later. Bye, y'all.